Hello, and welcome back to the Atomic Cast. Today it's Tom. Hello, and I'm joined by the ever faithful Bert. Bert, say hi.
Hello.
And a friend.
Wow.
Friend, say hi.
Hi, friend.
Hi, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm really good. How are you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Um, so if you don't know Stephen, Stephen, introduce yourself for us.
Hi, Stephen. I'm Stephen. I've been playing the game for about 10 years or so, maybe 9 years. I took a long hiatus, so everyone's like, "Oh, who's this noob?" Uh, no, I played a bit back then. I do the YouTubes also. Have just started, and I'm part of one of the GBHL teams. Any
What's your
heroics?
YouTube's
By
called?
the way. Any
Oh
any
yeah.
heroics? Yeah.
No, it's okay. I don't want to march. Thanks.
Okay.
That's a lie. There's a words I've never said in my life.
Yeah.
Um, Team Braga at Faux Life. Yeah, just for context, I didn't tell Bert that Stephen was coming because I thought it'd be funny.
This has been carefully planned for the last 2 weeks.
um, Bert's kind of
No,
excited reaction made me giggle.
I now have to pretend that I know who Stephen is the whole time. It's fantastic.
You love Stephen. Look, I even put their YouTube thing on the title. Look at me go.
I absolutely I adore any heroics. I had the pleasure of playing two of the any heroics boys off at Gates of Gondolin rounds 5 and 6, and I could not have played against two nicer lads.
Oh, are
So
you doing that badly?
I
oh
think you'll find actually that at Gates of Gondolin, any heroics had three in the top 12, which is,
Oh, nice.
where's
Soft
Team
field.
Atomic doing in the
Soft field.
GBHL? I can't remember.
We'll find out on the vast slide, Stephen. So if you're not watching this at home, we're on episode 28 of the Atomic Cast, the GBHL winning lists from May 2023. So let's take a journey of discovery with us, shall we, and find out what we've got. So we've got the breakthrough of banger GBHL 90, 600 points. Michael Bradford, never heard of him before. If you're watching this, you might have heard of him before. Who knows? We'll find out. Um,
He's one of the two people in Ireland that play the game. Sorry,
That's
Northern
wildly
Ireland.
incorrect.
Northern Ireland. I'm sorry, Michael.
we discussed this at length.
Spoilers. No, that should be out before this, but still. So let me take you through the list, and then we can see if Mr. Denby or Mr. Leach have any opinions. So we've got Druzag, the Beast Caller. That's also on LoTR, obviously, if you didn't know. 6 Mori Goblin Warriors with bows and spears. 6 Prowlers, 1 Bat, 2 Spiders. Venom backs. Ashrak, 3 Gobbos, 3 Gobbos with spear, Spider. Musga, 1 Orc with banner, 1 Warg, and a Shaman. 1 Goblin with nothing. 6 Gobbos with bow spear. 4 Gobbo Prowlers, and a Bat. So 40 models in total at 600 points. Anyone got any thoughts or feelings?
I think our guest should speak first.
I've played Mr. Bradford with his Assault on Lothlorien. It was a bit higher points. He is obviously an exceptionally good player at the game, and it's. I think he gets a bad rep because it's a horrible list to play against, which it is. But you can't just plug and play this list. You can't. I mean, it everyone knows what it does. It does a lot of shooting. It's got the monsters to counter heroes. It's got a good amount of numbers. Obviously, they're all defense 4, I believe. Yeah, everything's defense 4 there or lower. Yeah, it's a solid list. My only qualm with it would be that he doesn't have any Goblin Warriors with shield. Because shielding is really good when you're very killy, for obvious reasons.
Yes, I think it's become the thing to not take them with shields, just because.
Yeah,
maximizing numbers, and I think someone like Michael will play into a meta which is predominantly strength 3. So the jump from D4 to D5, it does a bit against Urukai, and and then the main thing is against strength 2 shooting. But if it's nighttime, you're not too worried about strength 2 shooting most of the time.
I think you're missing. Sorry, what I mean
Is the non-lethals,
it's the
yeah.
non-lethals being able to not 25% or not break someone. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the primary purpose of shielding, even as an elf player.
Oh yeah, as an elf player, you'll be like shielding at fight 5 a lot, which means that your way of you are going to win some fights, and you need shielding to not kill. I think if you're one goblin, you do non-lethal strikes by being one goblin.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of time. I like it.
I've played against Assault on Loft quite a few times. It is just very good.
Yeah, I've used it a few times, and I find myself doing the opposite and stabbing to victory to murder myself and get to 25% rather than shielding for plugging the games. I find that the goblins are mostly dead anyway, so
yes,
I just kind of finish myself off rather than shielding.
You do spend a lot of time trying to finish yourself off, don't you?
There we go.
I do, yeah. That's the high level humor we've come for. Or not, turns out, if I can't quite finish myself off. We also know it's not plug and play because the obligatory shot firing, 600 points. Mr. Wiggins only went 3 and 3 with it, so can't be that good.
Couldn't even beat Gilgalad here.
Well, Gilgalad is OP confirmed because no. Someone didn't plan this.
I'd already checked the order of the list, and I knew Jamie Wiggins was second, which was why I'd given him this shout out.
Right, we're in GBHL 80, you see, so choose your opponents.
A really unfortunate tournament. Sorry, I'll let you talk.
you better. It's not called us Stevenick cards. GBHL 80, 500 points. Mr. Wiggins won this one. It's a friend of ours. That's why we give him abuse. If we shout abuse at you, it's because we like you, not the other way around. It's the British way. So this one's got Druzag, a gobbo with spear, 6 gobbos with bow, 6 goblin prowlers, and 2 spiders. Musga, 4 orcs with spear, 1 orc with banner shield. A shield, Stephen, you'll be pleased. 2 warg riders with throwing spears, a bat swarm, a shaman, 4 warriors with spear, 6 warriors with bow, and 2 prowlers. So 38 models at 500 points.
I think the first. Sorry,
yeah.
You're very loud today.
As my interesting part of this list is the fact that he's taken 4 orc warriors with spear. Because normally when you see an assault on Lothlorien, it's Musga, banner, maybe a warg.
No warband slots.
I think that's the main point. You either go into the 4th hero, but I think in this you
silly Stephen.
I don't know anything about the game.
So
should we get
500 points was our local league, and I believe this is a carbon copy of his league list that he took. I also took a off in our local league, but I didn't read the book and didn't read where you could put the spiders and stuff into Musca's warband. So I foolishly had loads of orcs because I'm an idiot. However, I beat Jamie, so it's okay. Because I am the one true assault on Lothlorien player in our local area. Did finish below him in the league, but it's fine. So yeah, that's why it's got the extra orcs, because warband space. I don't think I like it at 500.
No,
personally.
I would like to clarify earlier. I said it's a very unfortunate tournament. What I meant is that I know a lot of newer players went to this one because it was down in Exeter. It was hosted by a friend of a friend. It was on the same day as another tournament, probably some irrelevant tournament. We won't need to talk about that one. And it was an absolute shark tank. I think if you looked at, 6 of the players there are currently in the top 15 or top 20. And then a lot of the other players were like, "Hi, I'm a new player. Please don't ruin my day."
The Golems Gamers group got a hold of it, I believe. Yeah. So they sent a few lads down.
Yeah.
And then Dewey and Jamie went down from
our boy
the
John
Guardians
Partridge as well.
Yeah. But he helped set it all up, so he's allowed. obviously a lot of them were going down to kind of support the new event, which is lovely. But then some of them did take some filth with them. So
How many
You
players?
know.
How many players in the field for this one?
oh, don't make me go and do looking up.
It was on long
Gosh.
check, wasn't it?
No, it was on Best Coast pairings because they're a 40k tournament.
Inferior app.
Inferior K. Well, uh, it's vastly superior if you ask me. But yeah,
Sorry, are you
complete sidebar. We're running a 40k tournament on Saturday in our shop, and I didn't realize that Best Coast pairings literally checks the lists for you. It has a script that runs and it checks the lists for legality for you. You don't even have to do anything. So I will not be convinced. It is actually an incredible app. I did hate it at first, but yeah, it's okay. Ride to Ruin had 18 players. Wiggins, John Partridge, Dewey Evans, George Harold is also one of our boys. Goebel. That's it. In terms of people who are up the cutting end of GBHL land. So it's not that spicy. I didn't realise George went. That's exciting. Points for the noobs team. But yeah.
I think there's one of the list where it's. I think everyone would agree. It's not the ideal level for Assault on North, but it's still Assault on North. It still has nighttime. James done a good job putting a load of prowlers in the list. At this points level, if you're up against like a 26 model list or something, and the prowlers get like a cheeky 2 or 3 kills, which they can easily do. Getting those traps, rolling extra dice like this, let alone getting in rage beast stuff. This list is going to do a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, I've seen the end of the spectrum of this list, where you get your 12 prowlers and your 6 bow shots or whatever it is. They shoot into a line and they kill just 10 dudes, and you go, okay, well, I was 10 more models than you. I'm now doubling you easily. I'll have those objectives. They're mine. Thank you.
Yes, that is very. It's the same thing with Lake Town, right? Where you turn up and you've got 40 boats and everyone else has got 35, and then you shoot at them and now you've got 30 and they've got 30 and you've got 40. You're like, ah, sweet. Let's have a lovely time.
It's one of those lists where it has a nice advantage on you, but then like that one game in like 5 or 6 where you do just have the one shooting phase from heaven, where you go right. All my goblins hit, and you just sat there just going, I'm going to lose 4 guys to shooting at 500 points this turn.
That feels like it happened to you, Bert.
No, never. Purely theoretical. But those games are like just savage. Lad.
I've moved on to the Battle of the Black Country Gate, which is a GBHL 80 in Birmingham, 500 points. And you can't see who won this because I've cut it off because it's got a really long name. But I just put Big D on there. So we've got Gilgalad, High King of the Elves with horse and shield. 6 High Elf Warriors with shield. 2 Kingsguard with spear and shield. 2 Kingsguard with bow and spear. And 1 Kingsguard with banner, spear and shield. Plus a River No Knight with shield. And you got Kieran. He's got 3 High Elf Warriors with shield. And 3 High Elf Warriors with elf bow and spear. So you got 20 models at 500 points. Stephen, would you like to talk about this list a second and tell us about why it's so amazing?
I'll be honest with you, Tom, it's not. Although, actually, according by your podcast logic, if something wins a tournament, it must be good. So Gilgalad confirmed good.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It does do a couple of really good things. It's got, what is that? 6 bows. I should know. I wrote the list. It's got 7 bows. 7 bows. However many bows it's got. It's got a good amount of bows and blinding light. They're strength 3 bows.
It's got 6, bro.
Yeah, it's got 6 bows.
Yeah, it's got 2 Kingsguard, 3 elf spear bows, and a River No Knight.
Yes.
That makes 6. Yeah? No, Stephen's gone.
I think
is he gone?
He either really hates maths, which would be sad on this podcast. Or we've
Stephen,
Sorry,
come back.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, I was traumatized. I thought
I'm
we'd
really
lost
sorry.
you.
It's the
This
bit
is
I
the
came
only
on
reason
for
you're
as well.
here.
I know.
It's to talk. So obviously, if you hadn't worked it out, all right, this is Stephen's list.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things this list does well. It does actually shoot okay. If you're lined up at 24 and you get 6 bow shots a turn, which is strength 3, the fact that you're 20 models, it doesn't matter too much if you've taken somewhere between 5 and 10 off the enemy by the time they get to you. Which shooting through blinding light, the only things that are really outshooting you are Defenders of Helm's Deep spam at shout out to Bert Leach wherever he is, with the throwing spears and assault on Lothlorien. You also get the rerolls to hit, which is useful against other blinding light armies, obviously. Kierden is one of the best models in the game, were it not for the fact that he only has 6 warband slots. Big issue when you're an elf. Warband slots are very important. Gilgalad is okay, I think is fair to say.
That hurt you to say, didn't it?
It did hurt me to say. For anyone who doesn't know, I love Gilgalad. I take him to basically anything, any excuse. I'll use him. If you come up against a standard
like
list,
Sam Grattan with Bard's children, any excuse to use him, he's there.
Yeah, but Gilgalad is above the age of consent. Gilgalad will either do absolute bits, or he will roll a 3 high and then fall off his horse and not do anything. I've had games where he's killed Gwahir, Elendil, Elrond, and like 6 knights. So, it's more than tripled his points value. And then I've had turns where he comes up against Goblin Town and kills 10 goblins, which is 50 points, and you are very sad.
40. 40 points.
Let's say they've got 2-handed weapons just to keep me looking like I know what I'm talking about.
It's even more embarrassing if you lost the fight then.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very good against, as I say, he's very good against standard lists, against other elves, Gondor, dwarves, things like that, where you're not too low on the numbers. They've got heroes that you can point at and say, I'm killing you this turn. What are you doing about it? He combos well with Kierden because suddenly you've got a fight 9 elf lord storming down towards people with +1 to wound, 8 dice rerolling everything, gaining might points back if he kills a hero, and yeah.
That's because of the enchanted blades, right?
Yes, sorry, from the enchanted blades, which Kierden casts on a 4-up, which is another reason why Kierden's really good.
Something I did want to ask you about Gilgalad. So obviously him and Elendil are like the 2 big old school guys.
Yes.
In a list like this, you are coming into it with 4 points of might. You may use a point of that for a channel blinding light, or you don't bother. However, at some point, I'm guessing you do need to start calling some moves just to get Gilgalad in the right position. Once Gilgalad's out of might, only because you want a tournament with this, you've clearly piloted like a genius. But how do you get yourself out of those kind of situations?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I would like to point out it's not a Gilgalad fluke, because I have won smaller tournaments with almost this precise list. That's not a humble brag. That's just me pointing out that it's doable.
I believe you. It's fine.
So what you really have to do...
Have you won any good tournaments with it?
Yeah, GBHL 80.
Those nice, fun, fluffy tournaments that are designed for kind of newer players.
The 80.1 where I played against Angmar and Assault on Lothlorien. Yeah, that was
fun, fluffy, relaxed tournaments. Yeah.
In answer to your question, Bert, it's all about looking at where I can get my might back, really. And knowing that it's okay to call the moves and run out of might, because at this points level, apart from Assault on Lothlorien and maybe Angmar, there is nothing that can just deal with him. Nothing looks at him and goes, oh yeah, fight 9 Gilgalad, I'll just charge into him and strike up.
No, that's fine.
So a lot of the time, people will either focus too hard on him because they're piss scared of him, which understandably, or you make the opponent come to you, you capitalize on a turn where They win priority, so you get Gilgalad in the place you want him to be with Enchanted Blades. He goes a heroic combat. He kills 1 or 2 heroes that turn, or a bunch of troops. But yes, 4 might is absolute dog shit, and this list belongs in the bin, to be perfectly honest.
But just to clarify, you did know that Gilgalad gets might back from killing stuff.
I,
right?
I didn't get it back, but it's more
Okay.
it's more that thing of, I guess, when playing against Gilgalad, and there's the correct way to play against it is either you have 1 turn where you absolutely fully commit, or is you transfix him, you do 2 strikes, you get your 200 weapons in there, you trap him, or you move 1 dad into him, move another control zone in to contain the heroic combat. Because if you do anything that's kind of in between, you're just losing guys, or you're wasting resources, right? And I guess if you play against people who make that mistake, then he's going to be wonderfully efficient.
Yes. There is also the very cheeky dismount after heroic combat. People never expect that one. And the number of times where people have been like, okay, so a cavalry base can't fit through this gap, so Gilgalad can't get through the gap, but there's no control zones. And I'm just like,
oh.
And obviously, it sucks to lose his horse, but he's still a 3 attack, fight 9 elven hero with +1 to wound, Lord of the West, probably a banner in range. He'll still do stuff. And if you're charging through that gap and killing something important or getting a might point back.
I mean, he's one of the few heroes in the game who you're looking at and just going, it is statistically likely that he will roll a 6.
Yes.
And it obviously feels like some people always roll 6s, but like it's like on 4 dice, it's like over 50%. On 5 dice, you're going, I really am going to be rolling a 6 a massive amount of the time without even using might. It's amazing.
Although, having said that, I have seen the number of times he rolls a 2 high on 6 dice because he's got Lord of the West as well. Yeah, he's very fun to use. And what you want is what you described earlier, where people gang up on him. And then he's just like, lol, no, kills them anyway.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to the people who hosted the tournament because they had some excellent prizes. Just going to casually pull out my Andoril Flame of the West that I got from a single day 80-point tournament. What's that about? Madness. Hey! This is the section where Bert and Stephen get their swords out.
I thought you'd never.
I've never been happier than we're on Spotify.
Yeah. It's all right.
Dear.
You've masturbated me enough. We can move on to the next list. If you like.
Have I stroked your ego enough now?
I'll be honest. Things went my way on the day, as they always have to when you win a tournament. That's basically
it. This is one of the board and bro ones, so it's got 40 odd players for an 80, so you can kind of dodge people and work your way around if you do that. Because there were a few spicy little numbers in that field that you managed to, I assume, dodge because they came second.
Yeah, I mean his Dale. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Ben Haslam,
and Jake Knox.
I got very lucky on my last matchup in that it was the killing scenario pool, which is pool 4, I think.
Yes.
Or 5.
4.
Anyway, so we ended up doing to the death. Not Contest of Champions for obvious reasons. Against Angmar. Anyone who doesn't realize Contest of Champions is actually really bad against Angmar because they just point at your hero and they don't do anything all game. But I got a 12-0 on my final game against Angmar, which won me the tournament.
Pretty sure I 12-0'd your boy John Partridge with his Angmar on Contest of Champions. Just saying.
He's new to the game.
That was his first time ever playing Contest of Champions. Which took me by surprise because we were on table 3 at Into the West final game.
Scarily good player for how new he is to the game, and just a scarily good player in general is what I would say.
Cheats. So it is City of Kings next. We've got a GBHL 100 at 765 points, won by Jakub Krokmau off of the Poland. This event, for anyone who doesn't know, pre-posted some scenarios that had some kind of funky-dunky add-ons, most of which made perfect sense, but there's some custom scenarios thrown in the mix. But it did lead to people kind of skewing some lists to deal with him. It also awarded bonus tournament points if you won by lots. So it kind of, or if you scored lots of points. So it heavily kind of favored people who could take risks and take to skewy lists. So Jakob's list is Guahir, or Guahir, however you want to pronounce it today. Radagast the Baron with Sebastian and at Eagle. Not a sledge like the Golems gamers falsely reported on their post-event recap. Aragorn Strider with horse. Boromir Gondor with horse and shield. Legolas Prince of Mirkwood with horse. And 1 Wood Elf Sentinel. That's it, 6 models.
Before we do the analysis, can we just point out that Jakob managed to win this event in 5 rounds? And
yes,
he could have just done nothing, got drunk, done Sambuca, done whatever, and still won the event in round 6. Like, he absolutely annihilated this event. So I have the pleasure of chatting to Jakob occasionally about lists, and he'll always say, "Oh, I'll take something fun and a bit different." This is someone who will know exactly what the scenarios are after and will tailor something exactly for it. And to have someone just waltz into an event and just go, "Oh, it's fun and different," and then wallop people so hard, he wins the event in 5 rounds. That's amazing.
So it did take him a little bit of good fortune. I believe did he not come up against the only other list with like 6 or 7 models on Recon?
I think so, yes.
Because Recon was one of the scenarios, which is where, but then being a player at the level that Jakob is, I would expect he looks at this event and goes, "I can go 5-1 and still win this event." So he could afford to lose that matchup.
He did the same thing in, well, not quite the same scores, but he did the same thing in London, where he won the tournament in 5 rounds. But even a round of Recon, this is somebody who will meet you halfway across the board against your 50 models. And then you'll look at the end of the first round of combat, you'll go, "I have lost 27 models." Just with the way with the list that Jakob built. It's just really, really, really strong. And like Recon was, rather than models off the board, it was wounds off the board. So any one of these models getting off the board, other than the Sentinel, is potentially game winning, because they're all at least 3. So if you can get one model other than the Sentinel off the board, and then just destroy the rest of your opponent's force, you're getting a max win.
I mean, you're looking at the list, and it's kind of got all the things that people just chuck in to lists. As in, you see Lake Town with X is obviously the classic. You see Lothlorien with X. So obviously it's got Guahir, who foresees the prize. The prize was a heavy object. So Eagle just goes, "Haha, pick it up." Ignores the fact it's a heavy object. Guahir is obviously very good at what he does, as long as you roll okay. Radagast, magic, one of the best assassins in the game, because you immobilize, jump over, kill. Cool. Aragorn, you don't even need to say anything about it. I'm not gonna. Boromir of Gondor.
That is top quality content right there. That is any heroics level content there.
If you don't know what Aragorn's good in an all hero list, then it's because he's got a 3-point of might every turn, so you always get a move at least. Boromir, the human hand grenade of Gondor, 110 points of, "I want to do this thing. I will spend every resource I have to do that thing." Legolas, obviously sniping, anti-horse, anti-banner, anti-leader, and the Sentinel, because it's like Compel but better. Yeah, just a really, really solid list. He clearly
just call it a Sentinel purely.
Sentinel.
A little
Sentinel.
bit.
I did actually have one on my desk a minute ago. I don't know where it's gone. Sentinel. Yeah, he clearly read the rules pack, which is more than some of us did. I will hold my hands up and say Galadriel was my champion when she didn't have to be. Yeah, if you look at this all hero list, you go, I don't know how to deal with most of these things.
he was gambling that he wouldn't that the way the format was structured, there wouldn't be that much in the way of super heavy shooting lists.
Yeah.
Because I know that the other list that did very well at this event was Ivan Sheehan's very, very, very similar Hero Soup, which did have Lady of Light.
Yeah.
I think, and I think looking
Yes.
at the field, at the shooting list, you had like Jamie Wiggins took Assault on Loth. I was one of 2 Assault on Helm's Deep, but there really wasn't that much. I mean, other than like elves with 11 bows or whatever, there really wasn't that much unbelievably heavy shooting. So again, that Jakob with his finger exactly on what the meta would be.
It's also worth noting that like you're not actually that upset about being shot.
You get to the enemy so quickly with Aragorn marching or Boromir marching and your 2 fly boys.
They all have 1 turn of shooting you. That's it.
Yeah.
And then all you've got to hope is that the horses survive that 1 round of shooting. You don't care if you take the wounds on the blokes. Like, it's all good.
I would say that he probably got lucky in not playing against Black Riders. I don't know how the matchup would go because I haven't seen it enough, but I feel like Black Riders. I suppose if you look, if this list does get into combat and heroic combats off Black Riders,
it'll table them in a turn, won't it?
Yes, but if the Black Riders get to win the move offs and kite, then they just nuke some of the heroes, which then have a very sad time.
I think I would back just for Leggy dropping a horse and Gwai here grabbing that the Wraith that's now on the floor.
Yeah.
And combating off him. That's what I would be banking on a little bit. But yeah, that's that kind of fun little unconventional that's in there. We've then got Keep It Secret, Keep It Safe, GBHL 90, 600 points, won by Mr. Jack Whitefoot. The Hobby Breakfast channel, I believe they're called.
Yeah, he's a member of Any Heroics as well.
Is he?
As of 2 days ago.
Oh, nice.
They signed him.
Shameless.
He played.
I don't understand why the Worcester boys don't have their like own team. But yeah, we just picked Leon up off the free market to join our Noobs of Numenor team. They need a little bit more of an experienced head in that room, so he's helping them out.
Jack actually played against myself and Jordan O'Brien, one of the other.
So you had 2 easy games. Nice.
Actually, the only person who he didn't beat was Jordan. So
it's because it's rude for goblins to beat goblins.
Also, it's also rude because I think, did you finish below me in that tournament? I can't remember, Tom.
I did by like 1 VP, yeah. Because you got to play Wiggins, so you got to crack up your VP score.
Let me just look in Longshanks 1 second. I think this was definitely another case of someone who read the rules pack and immediately went, "This is the perfect list to take."
I don't think it is. Jack takes Goblin Town as his main army to most events.
Oh, no, I agree, but I'm saying this with the benefit of having listened to the entirety of his podcast.
Oh, okay. I haven't listened to it.
This is my Elrond foresight. Okay. He looked at it and was like, "Oh, veto. Oh, 600 points. Sounds like goblins."
What was the end model count on this?
I think it was 68.
68.
That is absolutely enormous.
All right. 25.
I've heard that before.
Bless you.
Bert, you're the maths man. Count them up. But yeah, so it's the Goblin King's Golem with 23 Goblin Warriors.
Yeah.
Grinner, 12 Goblin Warriors. A Captain, 12 Goblin Warriors. The Scribe, 3 Goblin Warriors. And a Mercenary Captain with 12 Mercenaries.
I spoke to him about the mercenary choice very briefly. And he said he just likes the models, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said.
He also has said that he likes having just a large group of them to come in. It just feels like a more impactful.
Yes.
If you have a small warband of mercenaries, essentially they're dropping in and grabbing an objective, and that's their job.
Yeah, they don't.
If you have a large thing of mercenaries, they can actually threaten something while they're there as well.
Yeah.
Slight benefit of being fairly local to the event and being familiar with terrain layouts and things. I would be terrified of taking a large warband of mercenaries to some events just because I've been to some and couldn't fit the mercenaries onto any of their terrain.
You do often suffer, don't you, from the issue of just not being able to fit it in?
Yes, I have suffered from that issue many a time.
And with the Goblin Mercenaries as well.
I believe I've worked it out before. I think it's 7 is how many you can fit on. If you remember the old school of Glyph Ruins, you can fit 7 on top of one of them. So that's kind of, I tend to stick around 7 or 8 because that's how many I think I can fit. You know, at 8 you can kind of precariously balance somewhere. So yeah, it's fine. But like 7, it's how many you can fit into one of those, and most events have something like that. So that's where I tend to cap it out at. But you know,
what were the? Oh, I'll spot the scenario as well. But was it just was it 4 pools of veto, or was it 4?
No, it was 2 days. So it was every single scenario was drawn up at some point.
Oh wow, okay.
And you could just veto your way through the 3 that you got given each round. Yeah, it was like, if you look at it now, I don't know why I'm just looking at the word goblin and getting really confused by it. It just looks odd to me on paper. I haven't seen it written down for a while. It's just really throwing me off for some reason. Yeah, you can just veto missions as you go through. So with my Lake Town boys, what did we play? We played first round domination, second round recon, third round something else. Steven's probably got it up on the screen right now, so we can tell you.
I mean, it genuinely does depend on what your
fourth one was divide and conquer. Fifth one was whatever it was, I won it. And sixth was fog of war.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
so you could get through like they're fairly decent missions for Goblin Town wherever you went, basically. Oh, to the death was 5th.
That was it. To the death was 5th. Because so I played Jack in round 4, and I went to it. So the scenario was announced the night before, and the matchup was announced the night before, and we were given hold ground, divide and conquer, or clash by moonlight. So I was looking at it thinking, well, I've lost this game anyway, so I'll just chill, because he's not playing Clash by Moonlight. Because obviously, I took Gilgalad. Surprise, surprise. So I had about half his numbers.
Were you just Gilgalad and Kidan, or
no? Gilgalad and Galadriel is my new spice.
Ooh, okay.
It's a yellow alliance though, so it's a bit. But yeah, I played against this list round 4, and he's very good with it. I've played against Goblin players who just kind of like chuck a lot of models in to your big hero, and then your big hero goes, okay, I'll kill your 4 goblins or your 3 goblins.
That's not how you do it.
No, that's not how you do it. I know goblins are meaningless. No offense, Tom.
How dare you?
But
I always keep one nearby for moral support.
So you can throw it.
Yeah, here's my boy.
Hit on a 5+ unless you've moved. Yeah, it's just a really solid list with, as Bert would say, lots of lads.
Yeah, loads of lads, and then it can make more lads. He was saying at one point, I heard around the event that he was making some like 20+ lads in his in a couple of his games.
He got 23 because he wrote it down each game.
I mean, just for context, like we've spoken before about this, like was it 20% of the points value is a good model count. So you're going into this expecting like 30 model lists is like the average, maybe like 35 for a lot of the better lists, and then you're turning up with 68. Like there are people who have turned up with hordes that look at this and go, oh crap, and trying to deal with that many models and simultaneously thinking about where the king and golem are.
So I
Um,
had 42
but-
in my Lake Town list.
That's the thing. Like 42 is big. 42 is a large. That is a big list. And then 68. Like you'd have a very very specific kind of list to deal with that and the right scenario. And if you're doing vetoing properly, which clearly Jack did, then it's almost impossible to get that situation where you can reliably. I mean, not even kill it. Just even breaking this list is a pretty big achievement.
Yeah, I think if you. So I think actually he, from what I heard about a lot of other people who played him, one of the reasons we signed him is because we knew he was a top bloke because he's won or come very close to winning most sporting a couple of times. So we need that on our team because we're a bunch of horrible people. But just like he played every game exactly the way he should have, and I think that's, yeah. I just wish I'd played Lords of Battle against him though.
Did he veto first or did you?
I can't remember, but I said to him, "It's irrelevant. We both know that we're playing Capture and Control. Sorry, not Capture and Control. It's Divide and Conquer, because hold ground against 68 models is a pointless endeavor." And
You didn't have March in your list either.
no,
So
I don't know what March. That sounds like a meta choice. That sounds good.
March is awesome. March is a fantastic tool.
I know. I agree.
Yeah.
My only qualm about this list is that he's got Gollum in there.
Oh, stop it.
That's bait.
That beautifully done. Tom, would you say there is enough Spider Queen in this list, or is it good pure?
I think it's equally as good pure as with Spider Queen. If you're really good at the Spider Queen, she's a skill magnifier, I would describe her as. If you're really good with the Spider Queen, she's insanely strong. If you're average at the Spider Queen, she's not that great. I personally have done okay with a 600 point list with Goblin Town and Spider Queen.
Just because it's a skill magnifier.
Yes, because it's a skill magnifier. I did win in my first ever GBHL event with it. But we're not here to talk about me, unless you want to, in which case, but essentially I had a not too dissimilar list to this, but without the Mercenary Warband and with a Spider Queen instead. I also had a Bat Swarm, so I think I only had like 40 models. But I was sporting more. And it meant that on missions where you didn't have to move up the boards, so I don't normally take the scribe over the mercenaries, but anything where it was something like a to the death, there people would get into a full sense of security of like, you're just going to walk up the board towards me. And I went, okay, yeah, sure. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to sit just outside of bow range and spawn more goblins and spawn more goblins and spawn more goblins. And now I've got 50 goblins and spawn more goblins. And then they go, oh crap, you're spawning a bajillion goblins. And like, yeah, now we're gonna have a fight. Because if they're doing that whole thing, where it's like, I'm gonna sit here, you're gonna come to me, and you go, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna roll my dice. Yeah, it kind of racks up pretty quickly. But yeah, Spider Queen, fantastic for just pinpoint grabbing objectives. Which is a fun thing to try. 600 or so. I took her to like 700 points once with the kitting and found there were too many answers to her. It's a very tight window where it works. Or my player skill wasn't.
I have some insider knowledge that one of the very good players in the Southwest is considering taking the Spider Queen, and for some reason he's been asking me for list advice on it. I've never played the Spider Queen, so I don't know why he's asking me.
Which one is that?
Shout out. He's very handsome and his name begins with D, which doesn't narrow it down.
Why would he ask anybody for advice? That man knows absolutely everything.
See, let's not even name anyone because there's more than just the one person that you're thinking of, Bert.
I mean, there were lots of handsome men in the GBHL, but
His name
there's
begin with D.
There's at least
Yeah.
with a D for Jammy Dodgers.
but well, D for Dodgers.
There's at least two I can think of off the top of my head.
It's actually the joke's on you. It's me. It's Denby.
Oh,
Denby. I asked myself for list advice.
well, it depends on what your skill level is. Also, if you're competent and decide that a really good idea is to snap your bat swarm in half on the way to the event, and then it's really easy to hide.
I was going to say that's the pro strategy. I dropped my bat swarm. Oh no, it's hideable behind any obstacle now.
Oh no. Yeah, that's not what happened at the event. It was a pod system just after COVID had like started being relaxed. So we just had to play the 4 people in our pod. And it was in London, so we were using the VP like diff scoring system. So I just kind of had some friendly matchups in my pod where I was playing against Rohan and could kind of get in and use my 2 monsters and just hurl through the wall and kind of 12-0'd a couple of Rohan people. But yeah, anyway, that's in the past.
We haven't really
Goblin
talked
Town
much
are really
about this
good.
list, have we?
Goblin Town are
good.
really good.
3 spears, piercing, striking.
Just lads in it.
It's just a lot. It's a lot of lads having a good time.
I don't know if Jack did. I'd be interested to hear his thoughts. I'm going to listen to his podcast at some point about whether or not he took maces or just picks.
Everything was WYSIWYG.
Correct.
What a gentleman.
So he was using whatever combination of goblins he'd taken out of his box, I believe.
Okay.
Because he had one of those big white containers, and it was just full of goblins. And he just like pulled goblins out and was like, "Okay, that's all 68 models." And I was like, "Yeah, that's."
See, I don't know how I feel about.
Do you mean for the purposes of being able to bash, so you can knock them down and then get onto objectives?
I'm more talking about being able to bash things like Gilglad off his horse.
Oh,
because that's hilarious.
Why would you want to do that?
Because it's hilarious. I've bashed a fell beast prone.
Yeah,
with a goblin.
It's great fun. You only need to outroll it by 3, maybe 2.
If you've got enough bashy boys.
Yeah, it just takes 1 good roll and you're sorted. Just roll 6s.
Just roll 6s.
Just roll 6s. No, I'm a big fan of declaring what my goblin warriors have because, obviously you could kind of, in theory, be like, these are the 68 I picked out and they all happen to have picks because you're defense 6. And these are the 68 I picked out and they all happen to have swords because you're all defense 5.
There really wasn't. I know that's not what you're implying, but there definitely was not. That was not.
Yeah, Jack's not that kind of human, but I would. Yeah.
The way he said to me, every time it comes to special strikes, I will look at the model, or you can look at the model and tell me what it has, and if I want to, I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm very like, I like them all to have something, just because it makes me feel in my brain that I know what they've got. But yeah, it makes the whole like micromanagement a lot easier for me because I'm not as big brain as Jack clearly. Where if I know, like I like to know, they've all got picks, so they're all piercing striking against your D6, kind of thing. It just makes it easier for my brain. The Golem inclusion is delightful. I don't know why you would leave home without it.
I heard
Golem and the King is how you deal with a Gilgalad type hero in this list. It is the only way you will deal with a Gilgalad type hero in this list. If you don't take him, he will just have free reign over your entire army.
Because the Goblin King wouldn't even get the blubber save against Ageless, right? So
correct.
I've one-shot a Goblin King, I think 3 times with Gilgalad.
Yeah, that he what like D.
It's forced to wound and you're knocking him down.
Yeah,
that's it. 8 dice needing. You need 4 4s.
Are you knocking him prone?
Are you knocking him prone?
He's strength 5.
What strength for you? Oh yes, you're right.
Cavalry.
Yeah, he's got to be a strength 6 monster, isn't he?
It's got to be a strength 6 monster.
Wow.
Yeah. I think when I played this list, Gilgalad killed a captain, Grinner, and the scribe, and maybe like 5 goblins, which in my head, initially I was like, oh yeah, that's all right, until I counted the points and I was like, no, that's not all right. That's not 180 points worth. No.
It's not far off.
It's, yeah.
But yeah,
the
the scribe's also like the potential point to describe.
Yeah.
Because you think about this, the games where he's bringing like 20 plus in, that's 80 plus points of guys that he's bringing in as in addition, so you can think about it like that if you want to feel better about yourself.
Yeah, it did help.
Yeah.
It helped he was a lovely guy.
He's a lovely guy.
Back to the Golem. I know recently on Golem's Gamers podcast, there was a discussion about Golem.
There was no discussion.
I'm 100% with you in that camp. Golem is exceptionally good in this list because suddenly I'm looking at Grinner, not just the Goblin King.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Grinner and going, actually, Grinner with 6 goblins and a bunch of goblins supporting, or sorry, Grinner and Golem and a bunch of goblins are killing anything if they want to.
It's, I mean, even just a basic
people
level.
always forget Grinner has strike.
Yeah.
And then you go, I'm going to strike with Grinner. And they're like, who's Grinner? What's Grinner? Like that goblin there with a whip. They're like, this is an outrage.
I don't want to correct you. I believe it's isn't it a dirge or a scourge? Scourge. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, but it is a whip. It says it's a whip.
Yes. Just on a basic level, like at 600 points, you are going to come across some lists that just have a variety of tools and just tricks. And yeah, you could go from 68 to 80 models. I don't know whether warbands work, but yeah, I guess you can take more models. But adding Golem is just such an enormous tool in your arsenal.
You don't need more numbers.
And it's also like, you'll kind of forget, Goblin Town has might for days. And you can if you can keep pressurizing with moves, either your opponent's heroes can't call strike because they're out of might. And then once you've got control of positioning, that's the undercall a move. You can't counter it. And because I killed stuff last turn, the Goblin King and Golem are getting into your hero. There is nothing that you can do about this. They are dead. Whereas without Golem, it's I can have some more lads on that objective, and the King is going to have a decent crack at you. But it's just not the same.
The really fun move, which I've seen precisely once, is someone charges, or basically Golem and Grinner are in on something, and the Goblin King's just like, you know what? I'm joining this fight. There are goblins there. No, I'm going there. That's me. I'm sitting there. I'm a big chunky boy.
No, the best Goblin Town move I've ever seen was just playing on their table to Tom and just hearing heroic shoot with Golem. That was just the most beautiful move I've ever seen.
I called a heroic shoot at Golem. I threw a goblin at Legolas and knocked him prone because he was the only shooting thing in the list. Then he couldn't shoot because it was on his bum. It was potentially the single greatest heroic shoot I've ever called, apart from the one in one of our very old battle reports where it was Harad and Farharad taking on Dale, and I called a heroic shoot and blowpiped Girion to death because Lee forgot that I had blowpipes. And then Girion couldn't shoot because he was dead.
Rest in peace, Lee. Gone too soon.
Not gone, just decided to have children like a loser. But yeah.
But not in the Sam Grattan way of having children.
You trade you would trade Golem for 8 goblins, which if you take a turn of Gilgalad being free from the threat of Golem, he can kind of correct that for you quite quickly. Just to use that example, because we want to talk about Gilgalad as much as possible with Sir Denby here on the pod. There's a GBHL 90 at 550 points coming out very soon, next weekend in Birmingham, which is also using the veto system. I've heard a couple of people getting excited about the idea of taking Goblin Town and just vetoing their way to a lovely, lovely time as well. So that could be interesting to see how many people copy Jack's footsteps. We'll see.
Next list, please.
We are all here. No. For your insolence, we'll continue to look at the glory of Goblin Town.
It's
The next is
Oh.
Pass of the Dead. It's a GBHL 80. It was also 600 points. I should have actually counted how many things were 600 points this month, but yeah. This is a fun one. So I believe this is on the Isle of Wight or very close to it. Because lots of the Isle of Wight gang were down there, like Lee Hiscock and the boys. Big up the Isle of Wight, massive. They have a real rough time, bless them, because they've got to get the ferry across like 50 quid a journey. So is the Isle of Wight ferry crossing still the most expensive ferry crossing by mile in the world?
I've done it quite recently. It's definitely up there. Was this Part of the Dead? Is this any relation to, because there's that island off the coast near Poole, which was known as the Isle of the Dead in like the Middle Ages, wasn't it? Or was this just because people like Lord of the Rings?
You're in too deep now. So we had Frandil, King of the Woodland Realm, with elf bow, heavy armor, additional elven made sword, and the Circlet of Kings. So Frandy plus the kitchen sink. He then had 10 cavalry with shields. He then had Legolas with elven cloak and 10 Mirkwood Rangers for a total of 22 models.
I'm going to come out with a controversial opinion. This
Yep.
list is dog shit.
No.
Okay.
I think it's really fun.
No. I take Gilgalad for a living. Like, I have no issue with bad lists. I love that someone has done this, because you look at one of the elitist elf armies in the options, and then you go, how can I make this more elite? And then suddenly you've got Mirkwood Cav with +1 to wound on the knockdown. You've got Thranduil, who is one of my favorite heroes in the game, purely because of his versatility. You've got Legolas, who does the bits, and you've got 10 Mirkwood Rangers, who I think are some of the swingiest, most expensive warriors in the game.
Potentially the most overcosted warriors in the game currently.
Paying for an elven cloak is shit. Is to be honest. I mean, this list looks like you send Thranduil in with the Cav, and you hope they butcher their way for the first 2 turns.
You want to know some of my beef with this list?
Thranduil's on elk.
That's not it. Well, it's part of it, but not the
Golem.
entire thing. So Frandy's on elk, but he's got an elf bow. So what's he doing? What's his job? He's then also got the additional sword, which only triggers when he's on foot. But you paid for
no, because he goes up to 3 attacks and fight 7.
He's 3 attacks base and goes up to 4 with the elven made sword when on foot.
I thought he's 2 base, and then I thought he's 2 base, fight 6, goes up to fight 7 when you take the additional blade, doesn't he?
He might get the +1 fight, but I'm also not paying 20 points for +1 fight.
I've been known to be incorrect before.
Okay, well, you find your book.
You know what? I'm gonna go on Battle Scribe.
Not gonna lie, this is 12 elf bows, 2 of them with might behind it. So you're firing off like 14 shots a turn. At 600 points, you're out shooting pretty much everything. You got if the opponent has blinding light, you got Legolas who can start pinging shots into Galadriel or Círdan. And so it's only 22 models, but a lot of the time you've at least narrowed, if not evened up that numbers deficit, and then you're getting smacked in the face with fight 6 Cav.
Yeah, it's a
that's awesome. That's
Thranduil
so
is 2
much fun.
attacks base, so there is a reason to give him the additional blade when on out.
Oh, well, yeah. That's how very few times I've seen Thranduil without the sword.
I love that he is the Witch King of good lists, and if you'll bear with me to let me finish the metaphor off, because you can say, is he 100 points or is he 220 points? What do I need? I think the blade and heavy armor are auto takes.
Ooh, interesting.
He does have so many options.
The heavy armor is one of the last things I.
If he is one of those elf heroes that managed to get D7 without a shield, then Yeah, I would completely agree with you. But D5 to D6, eh. It's not nearly as big a hit.
No, he doesn't have armor at all, so it goes from D4 to D6.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even so,
my counterpoint to that would be that what's he losing a fight to
Um,
other than Gollum?
or
what's he-
Gil-galad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know what I mean. Though you made him fight 7. You've given him a hat of magical knock you all prone.
Yeah.
He will be causing terror in theory by the time he gets there as well from his
Yeah.
magic shiny hat.
Yeah.
He is on his. He's mounted on something, so he'll have 4 dice. He's highly controversially not near a banner.
Yeah, no banner at all.
So he only has the 4 dice instead of 5. But if a hero capable of winning the fight gets to him and wins that fight, he's probably in danger anyway at defense 6. He'd defense 4. It's essentially +1 to wound against him, but like they'd already be rolling a ton of dice at him anyway. Is my kind of
Yeah.
but that's just a it's the bow we have issues with. I think it's really like it's an interesting way of doing things, and I love that it's actually managed to pull it off.
Was it a 3-game or 4-game event?
Yes.
Hang on, we might be able to find out.
I don't think it was on the Masterful website that is Longshanks.
No, I'm talking about Facebook, mate.
Oh, you're gonna go Facebook stalk them. Fair play. Yeah, so Demi
4
said,
games, yeah.
4 games.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I love. I would like to clarify. I did say this is dog shit. I stand by that. I love people who take lists and do well with them because they enjoy a model or they enjoy something. Yes, that means I love myself. I love that basically this guy was like, here's my favorite bits. Yeah, I know. I love Legolas. I love Rangers. I love Thranduil on Elk, and I want something to go with him. And yeah, I mean, absolutely hats off to you, Brandon. You're probably not listening because Tom's podcast is irrelevant. Stephen's footage cuts here for some reason. You might not be listening, Brandon, but yeah, if you're out there and you're wondering what to take to a tournament and you're deciding between 2 lists, and one of the lists has models you love in it, and one of the lists you're taking because it's good. If I'm at the tournament, please take the bad list. I need all the help I can get. If you go to a tournament with the intention of winning and you don't win, you have a sad time. If you go to a tournament with the intention of going even and enjoying a fun list that you enjoy, you're going to have a good time no matter what.
If you come in with a list that you really love and then you end up, did he go 4 for 4?
Hang on, I'm trying to see.
My role here is asking all the questions and then making the other 2 of you actually do the work and look up answers.
I've got the scenarios actually, and I'm looking at it and thinking, actually, the scenarios are okay for this guy. There's Lords of Battle, which he's got great. Bows. Divide and Conquer is not so good, but you have
but one half of that can catch up to the other half incredibly quickly.
Exactly. Command the Battlefields, which you don't mind too much about. You've got a lot of cav, and then Fog of War, which with Legolas and a lot of cav, it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's had a lovely run there.
Yeah.
But also, you're right. Yeah, this just feels like it would spark joy. Like otherwise, you're not taking it. And if a list sparks joy, you should take it. If a list doesn't spark joy, then don't.
If a list sparks joy and you enjoy playing with it and you become good with that list, then
it's why I've not taken the coward's way out of taking like 60+ Lake Town models to this veto event at the weekend.
Oh yeah.
I strongly considered it and was like, oh well, if 68 Goblin Town is good, here's 60 Lake Town,
who are just better in every single way that is required.
I have the models.
Yeah,
I strongly considered it.
Yeah.
But it's boring, so I'm not. Because if you go into an event with that much intention to win, especially a smaller event, then take a long look at yourself. If it's 100, crack on.
Yeah, yeah,
Stephen,
absolutely.
Stephen, are you on the Gilgalad Galadriel train?
I am on a
I've heard he's
train.
been running a train on Galadriel. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what my new train might be. Good luck finding that footage. We'll give you another shot. I swore I would stop taking Gilgalad after I won a GBHL tournament with him. I didn't think it would happen. I think Galadriel and Gilgalad might be my new crush because suddenly, oh, it's a good combo. It's a very good combo. Well, it's an okay combo because it still has Gilgalad and he is at most a B tier hero. But yeah.
Interesting.
All right, and then there's an awful lot of information on this slide, but start off on the far left. We've got the current 2023 rankings. Big up Mr. David Farmer and the Views from the Top podcast, showing off, talking about just how good he is at everything in the world. And you know, so if you want to hear that, that's in one of our recent episodes. Jake Rawson and Jakob Krockmount rounding out the top three. And then we kind of scroll down a little bit. There's some other people, and then there's Mr. Denby at 15th. Congrats.
Yep. Slightly qualified opinions. You're welcome.
Good job. Bert all the way down in 24th, and Tom even further down in 30th.
Yeah.
The most satisfying thing about this is that I've got 4 scores on there, and they make a round number, which I really enjoy. And now I don't really want to go to any more events.
I'm really jealous.
How I've managed to make a round number is beyond me, but you know, and Jake Knox has done it just above me, which is, you know, equally as impressive.
Yeah.
Then we've got the team rankings where we can see that
currently outdated. We're 5th at the moment, thanks to our new signing, Jack.
Oh, is it?
But that's okay. It just budges half-inch down.
Did you nab him? So does that work? Like you get to nab him, and then you get his previous results.
Yeah. So he just won a 90, and we were like, "Oh, the season's open," and I was like, "I've played against him recently. Jordan's played against him recently. We had a lovely time." I literally scrolled down the rank. I was like, "He's like only, what was he, like 20th or something?"
He is 18th.
18th. That was it. Just below Jam J Wiggins. So yeah, I was like, "That's a free 90 points onto our scores. Let's go with that."
He also did quite well at Into the West.
He did, yes. He did quite well into the West.
Yes. Not as well as I did, but you know, that's okay. But yes, we have the unfortunate position where two of our team have kind of abandoned us to have babies, but they've also got 2 of our best individual scores. So I'm loath to remove them.
I did not have such qualms.
So we've got Lee and Rob, bless them, who came 1st and 2nd at a 90 at the start of the year. Well, I was so excited in January. We held a 90 at the shop, and then Lee and Rob came 1st and 2nd in it, and I was like, right, lads, this year's going to be mint. We're going to have a great time in this team thing. And then they both abandoned me to have babies and stuff. Yeah. So you know,
we had a similar kind of thing in our team in that we've got 9 members total, of which I would say 6 now are active. 2 have been to 2 tournaments and 1 had only been to 1. So I messaged the dude who'd been to 1 and been like, "I know you don't really play anymore, so I don't think you'll mind. I'm Guardoliaing you," or whatever the phrase is. I don't really watch football. And Jack Whitefoot in.
Yeah, we had one. So we've got a second team, which is the Noobs and Numenor, which is a lot of our like newer players in the area. And we had one chap on there who hasn't been 20 and he dropped out of our local league as well. So we just subbed Leon in for him so that he can kind of get Leon and us. We've been hanging out for ages. He used to do a lot for the pod as well, back in the early days. So yeah.
One of the titans of the community, I would say, Leon Smith. His tournaments are incredibly well run. Lovely guy.
Yeah. Also a great little spoon.
I don't know about that.
Okay. If you look back at some of our earlier videos, you can find out.
I have watched some of your earlier videos. It's just there's a lot of content on the internet.
There's
Is that the exclusive Patreon content that you can get for a very reasonable monthly fee?
no, we don't have that yet. We might have it at some point if anyone wants to. Potentially when I have a functioning spinal cord. We'll see. But or you can just like buy stuff from the shop. It's then you get something in exchange for your money, which I think is better. But
we got diverted. John Partridge, best newcomer currently, still.
He is currently still the best newcomer.
Still king of the noobs.
King of the noobs, indeed. We've got some guys. We'll give you. We've got some noobs who are coming up. Some of them are breaking out to their first away game soon.
I don't understand how best newcomer works. Why does he have 250 points there?
It's best 3, isn't it?
Your best three
best
scores.
3, so you don't get over rewarded for going to lots.
Only the major, only the main rankings are your best 4. Everything else is your best 3. So the best newcomer and the regional score is best 3.
Gotcha.
I don't know how people feel about that, but yes, that's a discussion for potentially another day.
I blame Dewey for that.
For what?
Don't know.
Okay, sound. And then I'm going to move your pictures over to the other side because we've got to look at the upcoming events. So May was quite quiet. There was only a few events. June, however, boy, look at those events.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So we've got 100 in Scotland and Ireland happening right now. It's in Ireland because it's in Dublin, so I know where that is. Here we go. That is the Conquest of Hibernia. It's the Irish Open. It has, I believe, a funky little rules pack where you can bring a second unnamed hero and then just give him special rules.
Can we get one of the Irish gents on to talk us through like the podium list? Because I want to know all the filthy combinations that people took to that.
That was in the plan. Yes.
I know they had to in the discussion of the rules pack, they then had to amend it because too many people were coming up being like, this is absolutely insane. You need to amend some of these rules because otherwise you get X combo. And then they had to amend some of the rules. I was looking at that one being like, ooh, I do want to go to that one. And then I didn't.
I have thoughts and feelings about being 100, but that's for another time.
You mean because it's an island and therefore player access, or
I don't think that's an issue.
No, it's because it's got a highly controversial rules pack. Yeah. And then we've got the 90 Assault on Dull Hull Door. Right, nice, appreciate that. Up in the north. Nat Sinclair's 80 in Wickham, the Republic of the Shire. All things good in Staffordshire. The Slaughter in the south in Birmingham, which I think all 3 of us are going to. There's we're actually rolling 8-man deep for that event, Denby.
Are you?
We are rolling squadded out across our 2 teams.
Oh, across our 2 teams, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, across our 2 teams.
Oh, your 2 teams. I was going to say, I think only. I don't know who from my lot's going to that one, actually.
It's between 1/5 and 1/6 of the player base is part of the Team Atomic family.
Gotcha.
So
I'll have to beat a bunch of them.
We just really want to start reviewing our own list on this podcast rather than having
after Ben won an event and the rest of the noobs are now they're fired up, so it's all right. We've got the Ambusher Air, which is a 92-day in Scotland. King of the West, which is 350 points in Cheltenham. It's kind of cute.
Is that the one where it has a custom rules pack with bonuses for kings? Or is
yeah, that's one.
Yeah. I really wanted to go to that one. Unfortunately, I can't. Because for obvious reasons, I take Gilgalad. Why not?
It's teeny tiny points, but also please spend lots of your points on one big hero, please.
Yeah, on one big king or queen. Amazing idea for a rules pack. I love it. It's like Shadow, Spider Queen, etc.
Yes.
Yeah.
War in the North, little 18 the North. Allies of Convenience. Oh, I don't know what that is, but it's World Champions events. It's going to be a good time.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt again, but that is another really cool idea where evil can ally with good.
Oh, he's doing that one again.
that can only go badly.
It's going to be chaos, and I really wish.
Is it going to be chaos?
Well.
Is it going to be chaos? Because there's that AC at the back end of last year, where it was a Secret Hobbit, where they went, "Oh, there's no allies matrix. You can ally with anything," and then the top 6 players all went, "Cool, we're going to take legendary legions instead."
Yeah, Jamie Wiggins won that one with Easterlings.
The Dragon Emperor.
Yeah.
Dewey went 3-3 with a sword and helms deep. He beat my defenders final round. Yeah, it was just all legendary legions up top.
Yeah.
Yes, because surprisingly, red allies are dog shit. So yeah, Shadow and Flame in St Albans. Big up St Albans. Very close to my heart. So
I
that's
will
nice.
be at that one with a few
Is it?
of my guys.
Nice.
In fact, Elliot, who's just left Bristol to live with his girlfriend, Elliot of Any Heroics, obviously.
Claude.
Elliot Claude is bringing his girlfriend to her first tournament there, I think.
Nice. Where's he moved to?
St Albans? I don't know. Somewhere near London. He said London. I was just like, okay. And cried.
Anywhere east of Bristol is a scary, like Mordor kind of place to Any Heroics.
Anywhere east of Bristol is London, as far as I'm concerned. City of Kings, London.
I mean, that's the Winchester, mate. That's basically London.
Yeah, isn't the Winchester that's in London because that's in Hot Fuzz?
That's so
Shaun of the Dead.
The Winchester is
the Winchester.
Oh,
yeah. And then we've got the Let the Dice Bear Decide, a GBHL 90 in Swindon using a veto system as well. So, you know, we thought of it first, but then I put it in my June event, so it seems like I didn't think of it first. But I thought of it first, guys. It's cool. We didn't. We blatantly stole it from the Australians, but yeah. And then Suffolk Under Siege, another 90 in the southeast. So that weekend has 4 events on it. So that's nice.
Are they all 80s or all 90s?
They're all 90s.
They're all 90s.
Yellow is 90, blue is 80, red is 100.
Gotcha.
Gosh, Stephen, do you even read the GBHL calendar?
No, I just turn up to events and take the same list no matter what.
It's almost like you're not on the committee. Disgraceful.
It's almost like I'm not on the committee because I didn't get treasurer position.
Yeah. Did you apply for it?
I did, but I'd been to one tournament and nobody knew who I was.
Right, yeah, fair.
Yeah, you know, nobody's going to vote for someone who's been to one event.
No, although I got the Southwest rep having not hosted a GBHL event, I believe, or had I hosted one at that point, maybe.
Yeah, are the elections quite competitive?
Yeah, there's a lot of ring rates and assault on Lothlorien.
For the good positions,
I love if that's actually how it was decided. It's like everyone just signs up. There's actually just like an event in Nottingham.
So it's quite different this year. But last year I think there was basically like myself and Ali were the only ones who were like semi highly ranked on the committee last year. This year's different because we've got World Champion and Clublian, who are both fairly decent at the game. And Dewey's trying again because he's finished having a baby. So it's nice. But yeah, there was a time where it was very clearly just it was not the competitive minded human who was on the committees. But yeah, that's all good. It's all good. I think that's everything I've got on my little list. It is. There's nothing when I press next anymore. It's traumatic. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'll be interested to see what happens with your ringers now. Any heroics? You've gone up to the super teams at the top who've just got people from all over the country to join their team.
No, because we haven't breached the 800 point mark, I don't think.
Have you not?
No.
So you've just brought people in from all across the country and just not done it very well.
It's just one. The problem with any heroics is that we always end up beyond like the 3 events where we've won or podiumed. We always end up in like top 25% obscurity. So I think if you look at our scores, it's just a lot of like 70 to 85s. You know.
The Bert positions.
No, that's more like
I
65.
it is
Come
more
on.
like 65. Let's be honest here.
He's got to. Bert is intentionally sandbagging his results, so that he
Oh yeah, you're right. You have jumped all at 5th. Yeah, look at you go.
Yeah, I need to. I have the back end of my year in personal life is incredibly busy, so I kind of need to like my next 2 events. I need to put a score up, or I'm just gonna turn up with something for fun for the rest of
Yeah,
the year.
see, for us, it's just bottom couple of few down here. But that's essentially us. There were the 2 positions where Lee's second score and Rob's second score should be.
Yeah.
But they're not. So we need a little bit of help from our guys, but that's okay.
You've kicked them, have you?
No, they just have only put 1 score up each.
Oh god.
Well, technically Lee's got a 13 because he only played day 1 of Into the West.
Cool. Look at the keen beans that are the team points total for Golem's gamers. 3,200. I respect that. That is a lot of tournaments that they go to.
They have been to 51 tournaments as a group, yeah.
And to be
That's
fair,
impressive.
We're 47 and we've only got 6 active members, really. So
yeah, but to be fair, so do they.
Yeah, true, actually.
Because they've got Ollie and Jack, who are both
retired.
Well, is Ollie not currently?
I think Ollie's fresh out of the womb, isn't he? That's
he's in a tube covered in semen currently, I think. They're in the Navy.
Oh yeah, yep, that's it. Yep.
So yeah, and then where is the Mandem? The noobs and new one. There they are, 28.
There they are, 28.
Yeah. You can see they do need to improve this back end a little bit, but bless them. They've got some good ones at the top.
Yeah, I mean, if they're all new players and you've got some
it's definitely it's quite satisfying, like knowing that like the construction of both Team Atomic teams, other than like me, people actually are from Swindon.
You can get to Atomic Cards quicker than I can. So, yes, it is everyone's local kind of pub essentially, which we did on purpose. Apart from now Liam, who has come in for the second crew, because we essentially only have 8 active people in that crew. So, yes, it is very nice having. And the fact that they've been to 20 tournaments as a team, they're getting there.
Yeah.
Always
nice to see fresh faces.
Yes. And there's Sam Little's on there, who should probably be on our Team Atomic team, but he told me he wasn't going to come to many events, and he's been to like 3. And some of these are his scores, which we could do with. Sam, you dirty liar. But it's all good. It's all good. We've gone for a bit of a sidetrack now, but it's okay. This is the team rankings. If anyone's curious, you can come here and look at stuff.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Very
this
good.
Is the best painted. Hey, look, it's John.
Who?
John. It's John. You know John. John.
Yeah, the guy who's currently carrying our team.
Yeah, absolutely carrying it. My favorite bit on it is where you go across to here. You can actually see like this blatant GDPR breach. What? Where you can go and look at your individual team contributions.
Yeah,
it's great fun.
Is it a GDPR breach if it's just first and second names?
No, it's not. It's
commonly available on Facebook.
Yeah, it's not. It's okay.
Careful, you'll be liable to the GBHL committee, aka yourself, if you cause such slander.
But yes, this is where you can see. Look, Rob and Lee's kind of victorious start to the year, and then just absolutely.
It looks like Lee had a really bad tournament and was like, "Fuck this."
I mean,
yeah.
Didn't he just kind of explode by like the end of day 1?
So when I picked him up in the morning, he was saying he wasn't feeling very tremendously well, and I said, you'll be all right. took him to the thing. Bear in mind, this was like just after I'd actually done my back in, so I also really didn't. I was only going because he was going as well, and I'd already agreed to give him a lift, and we were sharing a hotel together. So the fact that I got to his house to pick him up, and he was like not really feeling it. I was like, in that moment, I was, should we just sack this off and go home? And then I powered through for him, and then he spent the entire first night just vomiting all over our hotel, which was honestly just delightful of him.
That was John Partridge having gone to 10 events already.
Yes.
You have got some committed people on your team, Stephen. That's fantastic work.
Yeah, I mean, there's, as I said, there's 6 active players. There's Josh Ballard,
and 5 of them are John.
Yeah, 5 of them are John.
Oh, see, our substitution haven't happened yet.
So there's a couple of my boys from
out.
Devon who have recently got married or have other things going on in their personal lives. Kind of like Lee, similar, prioritizing family over toy circle. Just what madness. Then there's Josh, who really enjoys the game, but I think 2-day tournaments are just a bit much for him, especially when you're quite new to it. Otherwise, it's me, Elliot, Jordan, and John who go to a lot together, which I think is reflected in the number of tournaments attended. And obviously, we've just picked up Jack, who, if you're not going to tournaments with your friends and staying in places with your friends and traveling out with your friends, personally, I think you're losing part of the experience.
So are you keeping Louis on your team? Because I think he's coming to mine in July.
I need to talk to you about that. He needs to drop out. But he is coming to. I am keeping the other guys on the team because they are still going to come to events. It was just the one guy who we dropped. I don't need you to do well. I just need you to come to events. That's all I care about, you know.
Yeah, that's what we said to the guys when we basically put the Team Atomic team was just the ones who were most likely to come to the most events.
Yeah.
And then because we've got a few of our newer guys on there, so Henry, Ashley, and Ben down here are all pretty new as well. But obviously Ben's won an 80 already in his first year of compete. Yeah, he won one of our 80s. It was the ones that the Weekend Masters was on. So it was quite nice for him. So yeah, he's done quite well for himself. And then Ash has done a couple of like 3-on-1s. So he's coming up to.
He's one of our hot picks to do quite well next weekend.
Yeah,
3-on-1 is kind of like, that's my territory. If you look at my scores, it's literally just like 3-on-1, 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 4-on-2, 3-on-1, 4-on-2, 3-on-1, 4-on-2.
Ash and Henry are both coming up with us next weekend.
Lovely.
Then there's me and Bert from Team Atomic, and then there's a bunch of guys off Noobs at Numenor as well.
Who's Bert?
Some idiot. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
I hear his opinions are unqualified.
Gloriously unqualified, but loud, and that's all that matters.
So loud today. There's Ash. Yeah, Ash. Yeah. Right. We should probably wrap things up.
We've been rambling.
We're at the end of the glory days where we just ramble a little bit. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Stephen. Where can we see you in glorious high definition?
My house.
In Bristol.
In Bristol.
Oh, I was talking to Ellen the other day about you.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You can find me on YouTube at Any Heroics. We do bat reps. We're also doing tournament vlogs. I've got one to film and put up. We're going to start doing some narrative scenarios too.
Where's the one from the weekend?
That's the one I need to edit and put up.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to put it too close to the Yolams Gamers one because I didn't want to steal their thunder.
Yeah, because yours is going to be better.
Well, no.
How many subscribers are Any Heroics at?
I think we're almost 800. I think we're 780 something at the moment.
Okay.
So we're putting out weekly content. It's definitely
it feels a lot more regular. Like, I love that like every few days I get like a new like decent bat rep.
There's never enough elves anymore though. There was loads of elves when it started, and now there's no elves.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Gilgalad on the channel. The funny thing is, there's still some Gilgalad bat reps that have been filmed that I haven't edited and put up yet. So
What's this editing word you're talking about?
I know, right? I know. But yeah,
Honestly,
you can
such
find me
tryhards.
any heroics on YouTube. If you see me at any events, come up and say hi, unless you don't want to, in which case don't. Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Bert.
Thanks, Bert.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Until next time.